Good evening. This is Bashar Wilson with New York Sports Acupuncture. Welcome back. Today, we are going to be talking about the role of common greens, our cruciferous vegetables, and the role that they play in supporting our health in many different ways, including research that shows that it can also help with cancer. So let's get started. Again, I am Dr. Bashar Wilson. I am a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, specializing in sports medicine, acupuncture in private practice since 2003. And on this forum, we talk about many different health topics, from sports injuries to common health concerns that we all have. So, again, today we're talking about cruciferous vegetables and the role that they play in our health, our greens. So when we look at cruciferous vegetables, what are they? So our cruciferous vegetables include your kale, collard greens, turnip greens and turnips, mustard greens and mustard, broccoli, cauliflower, so cabbage, I think, Brussels sprouts, rutabagas, also even your radishes, watercress, wasabi. These are all within that cruciferous vegetables. And for most of us, those are some of the common vegetables that we consume. And we know that our vegetables are good for us, but how are they good for us? So, when we're looking at our greens, they've been part of our diet since ancient times. Some of my health books I have from ancient Kemet, ancient India, ancient China. These greens, and also even like, even though they're not cruciferous vegetables, but they're oftentimes cooked with them, your onions and garlic. These have been a staple in our diet as folks. And so, when we say let your food be your medicine, these are some of the medicinal foods that you can consume and that you should consume daily or even multiple times a week to support your health and protect yourself from many different concerns that can go on in the within the body, whether we're talking about cardiovascular disease, digestive health, and even cancer. So, when we look at the cruciferous vegetables, what makes them special is some of their sulfur containing compounds. Like, when you cook broccoli and cabbage and greens, they have that kind of like funky smell. And that's that sulfur. It's that same sulfur that's in eggs. And also, I know the sisters, when we was younger, they used to use the sulfur 7. I forgot what, something like that they put in the hair that helps the hair grow. And it has a lot of properties in it that are antioxidant, so it protects against what's called oxidative stress. That's when you like cut an apple and it starts to turn brown. That's where the oxygen is getting to the apple and turning it brown. So it actually protects against the effects of how that can actually happen in our bodies. The same way apples oxidize, our bodies can oxidize, and that leads to what they call the free radicals, and that can cause all sorts of effects on our health and cause us to age early. And over time, as that builds up in different organs of the body, that can even make us more susceptible and create the environment for sickness and disease to manifest. So, one of the ways that we protect our bodies are with these greens. So, when we look at greens from a traditional Chinese medicine or traditional Eastern medicine standpoint, your greens is the color green. And each of our different organ systems and each of the elements, we have the five elements of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And each of those elements have a certain color that correspond to them. And they also rule different organs of the body. So the color green rules the wood element, and the wood element rules the liver and the gallbladder. And as we're coming into this spring season, the spring is actually ruled by the wood element also. So greens are good all time of the year, but specifically and especially coming into this spring season, this is a time where you want to load up on consuming your greens, whether you're eating your greens, drinking your green juice, meditating on the color green, wearing the color green, putting that green in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? This is that perfect time for us to activate on that color green. When we're dealing with the greens, that pungent or that the smell, as we say, is like pungent, and even the taste of greens is acrid and bitter. And it can have, some of them can have almost like a spicy, not quite hot like pepper, but it can have that sort of spicy, pungent flavor, and also can be kind of bitter. So when we're looking at that acrid or pungent flavor, and the onions and the garlic also fall in that category, it has an effect of like dispersing fluids in the body, whether we're talking about on the surface of the skin, causing us to sweat, but also inside of the body, helping to disperse stagnant fluid. So it's helping to get things moving in the body, whether we're talking about the fluids, whether you're talking about your chi or your blood. It's helping to move any stagnation in that way. The acrid and pungent also goes to the lungs. So it has that opening, like how lungs, how we breathe in and out, actually can have that effect, not just with the lungs, but helping the body to literally like breathe in and out. And even your when you look at leaves are that aerial part of the plant. It's that part that's exposed to the air as opposed to your roots, which are in the ground. And when you look at that, like God's signature and how our bodies are built, those leaves would correspond and even look like lungs. And so, even when you look at your broccoli and your cauliflower, which are some of the greens that we're talking about that have these protective mechanisms and aspects about them, they even look like the areoles in your lungs and your whole bronchioles and things in your lungs. So that's part of God's signature, even showing that effect. The color green again is also going to go to the liver, and greens are going to have that effect in Eastern medicine and in general, even in Western medicine, of having like a detoxifying effect in the body, helping the body to break down toxins so that they can be excreted, whether in our breath, when we sweat, when we urinate, and when we move our bowels. Greens also have a bitter flavor to them. In Eastern medicine, we say that bitter flavor goes to the heart and also goes to the liver. It's also going to have that effect of clearing heat in the body. So any inflammation that we can have in the body, the greens and green foods in general, and that bitter flavor is going to help to detoxify the body, help to clear any heat and inflammation. So whether that's in your digestive system, um, whether that's in your joints or anywhere in the body, and chronic inflammation is the root cause for so many different conditions. And so when I say chronic, something that's going on for a long time in the body, it wears down on us. And that inflammation, again, can set up the environment for disease to manifest in the body. When we look at the green color in all of our greens, that green color is of course chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is like the pigment of the sun within plants. You know, we all remember from chemistry class, I think that was chemistry or biology, chemistry class, of the whole process of photosynthesis and how the leaves take the sunlight and process it and turns it into chlorophyll. But when you look at chlorophyll and blood, it's a very similar structure, except in the center of a heme, or like the blood is a molecule of iron, where when we look at chlorophyll, in the center of it is magnesium. Otherwise, they're pretty much bioidentical. So when you're consuming greens, you're consuming the blood of the plants. And that blood is also going to go in and help to support and strengthen your own blood too. And in Eastern medicine, the liver also stores the blood. So this whole holistic aspect, just from that green pigment in food, gives us a clue of all of the different things that it does in the body. So, with in terms of on the Western aspect, there's a lot of research that supports this. You can go and look up some research, whether they call them meta-analysis and what's the other word? And systematic reviews, which looks at all of the research, takes out all the bad research, and excuse me, you have your meta-analysis and your systematic reviews, which looks at all of the research that's out here, gets rid of all of the whack, all of the bad research, and takes the quality research. And it's shown that your greens, again, that we named, for those that are just tuning in, your kale, collard greens, cabbage, turnip greens, mustard greens, bok choy, um, your turnips, rutabagas, watercress, radishes, wasabi, kohlrabi, all of these things are have certain similar compounds, and they're in the same family. It was called the brassica family. And scientific research has shown that it has effects with helping to protect against many different types of cancer, whether you're talking about breast cancer, lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, um, kidney cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian and uterine cancer. So it has an effect of helping to protect against all of these. Now, one thing with the with your greens, all of the greens in this family, in this cruciferous vegetable family, we don't want to OD and go crazy on it, because too much, just like anything, too much of a good thing can sometimes be a bad thing, especially over time. So, a high dosage and concentration of eating too many greens over time can actually affect the thyroid and and cause like hypothyroidism. But if you consume it as part of your regular diet, regimen, you should be fine. But just be warned that um, just because one is good, two or three doesn't mean better. Like one or two is good means one or two is good. And as you're consuming it over time and having eating your greens as part of like your regular diet, it's just going to build up and have that protective effect in the body. Your greens, all of these cruciferous vegetables, have also been shown to have an effect to protect against cardiovascular disease, whether you're talking about helping to lower the cholesterol, and even helping with, especially when you're mixing it and cooking it with your onions and garlic. Your onions and garlic, again, are very moving and moving of the blood. And so we know with the heart, we want to make sure that the heart is moving and our blood isn't thickening up, and that cholesterol isn't building up in our blood vessels and leading to arterial sclerosis and all the long-term types of heart disease. So, with that, let's see. I know I've been talking for a while. So, I know my folks on here are pretty health minded. What type of greens do y'all like to eat? Or, so put in the comments real quick, what type of greens do you all like to eat? We have Equip Institute, one of my folks. Hey, Florence. She said, hey, Dr. Basharak. Spelled my name wrong, but that's all right. We're folks. Glad I can catch you live I'm usually on the replay. Yes, I'm so glad to have you here. So, Florence, she says, I love kale. One of my folks told me with kale is that you have to like massage the kale because kale can be kind of rough. And kale, it's interesting. Kale is one of those vegetables I don't really remember my mother cooking when I was younger. I feel like kale is something that I kind of started eating in after like the year 2000. Maybe I asked her. I don't think we cooked kale. We ate a lot of collard greens and turnip greens and mustard greens and cabbage and turnips and all of that sort of thing. But I don't remember eating kale. But one of my folks, he told me, to help with kale to break it down because it can be so stiff even when you're cooking it. Is if when you wash it, if you kind of like rub it together, it'll help to break it down. And also the process of we want to make sure that we are eating it and chewing our greens effectively because the process of chopping up our greens and even chewing it up actually helps to break it down and mix certain enzymes together that are in the greens and different biochemicals that are in the greens that actually help to release and activate the healing process of it. So we want to make sure that we are chewing our greens thoroughly. Said spinach. Yeah. So you say you love to eat spinach. Spinach is good. Spinach is excellent. Actually, a great source of iron. Again, with the spinach, on the cooked spinach, we don't want to eat spinach all the time, like as our soul greens, because it can cause what's called like oxalates in the body, and those can form like stones, like your gallstones and kidney stones. But greens, but your spinach is excellent. But spinach is actually not a cruciferous vegetable, but I do like to mix it in with my vegetables. And lastly, thanks for all the commentary. Florence Equip Institute, she said, yes, you do have to work with kale to get it tender. How I like to cook my greens, right? I like to mix all of those greens together. Um, And so I'll mix all of those, your kale, cabbage, collard greens, spinach, bok choy, turnip greens, mustard greens, which are kind of hard to find now. You have to go like to the old neighborhood, like live in neighborhood now that's becoming more gentrified. It's like they kind of front on the turnip greens and the mustard greens. I don't know what's up with that, but kind of have to travel kind of to the hood to get some mustard greens and some turnip greens, but I make it happen. But I mix all of those greens together. One of the ways I do it, I run my greens through the food processor in terms of the slicer because that's a lot of cooking, and I like to get back to that. I like to mix them all together. And so what I do is I'll cook my greens with some onions and sometimes some garlic. I'll season it with my Italian seasoning, some olive oil, a little salt, and I'll season each layer. That's the secret. I'm giving y'all my secret recipe. This is, don't, you know what I'm saying? This is my secret. I take my greens and I'll cut a layer of kale, season that layer, little salt, whatever, and whatever Italian seasoning, Mrs. Dash. Then my layer of cabbage, the same thing, and keep layering it, because I'm seasoning each layer as if I'm eating it by itself. And I'll just put that on low, on like one, and I'll just let that cook down for like a good hour or two. And of course, you want to stir it to make sure that you're getting it all mixed in together, and it comes out banging. Trust me, that's mine. If anybody knows me, for any event that's like a potluck, I always bring my greens, and it's that mix of seven, eight, nine greens. So yeah, let's see, folks on Instagram. No commentary. Let me know. Y'all hear me on Instagram? Let me know that you hear me. I think y'all do. Say, I grew up eating mustard greens. Yeah, you must be a country girl. Because I don't know folks except for down south. My family's from South Carolina and Georgia. So I definitely grew up eating my mustard greens too. Yeah. Let me know. Let me know how it turns out. I'll see you back on this channel or over on Kirk's channel. But let me know how it layers and how it works out. It's an excellent recipe. You'll love it. It's good. And sometimes too, I'll even mix the dandelion greens in there too. So let me know if anybody has any questions or comments out here. If not, we're going to begin to close this down. I know it's getting late. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Um, my website is New York Sports Acupuncture. A lot of great information there. And if you're interested in booking an appointment for acupuncture, if you're in the New York area, even tri-state area, I'm in Brooklyn. Um, and again, I specialize in sports medicine, acupuncture, helping folks with neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, ankle pain, you name it, help to get rid of that. So if you're an athlete, you can get back on the court or the field or back into the field, back onto the track or in the road. Some of our folks are training for the marathon. I work with the New York Liberty women's basketball team. That season is coming up. Hopefully, be working with them again. Past 2 years, been helping them out, and they won that championship last year. Feel like acupuncture was a secret recipe for some of their athletes that were injured earlier in the season that were able to perform in the Olympics and um, help with that championship. So that was excellent. Also work with some Olympians, um, professional athletes, former NFL players, and folks like that, and also your everyday warriors. Folks that that hit the gym on a daily basis, or on the weekends, or some folks might just have shoulder injury. So women might have a shoulder injury that prevents them from putting on their bra, or someone might have a neck injury with pain that's radiating down into their arms and in their fingers and their fingertips. There's a lot of things that we can do in the office, and there are even exercises that I can send you that you can do at home if you're not able to get into the office, that can help to relieve you from that pain. I can be reached for free evaluation to discuss your health goals, whether you're looking to make an appointment to come into the office, or we can set up some telehealth where we can get on Zoom or a platform like this and, talk about your health goals, do a full consultation, go through all of your body systems. With Eastern medicine, we're not just looking at your chief complaint, but we're looking at your entire body's health system, constitution, your family health, and based off of the types of activities and the way that your health is now, if you continue on this same path, what will most likely manifest in the future. So we work to head that off at the pass, nip that in the bud so that you can bank up on your health for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, so that in your great years, when you're manifesting on your purpose and enjoying the fruits of your labor, that you're able to do that in a healthy way, whether it's with your spouse, with your children or grandchildren, traveling the world, still being active in all different ways in your life. We want to help to preserve your health, because that health is wealth. And for most folks, if they had to choose between their health or their wealth, most people would choose their health, because people can have a million, two, $10 million in the bank, but if they're not healthy, what good is it? Because you can't take it with you. You can pass it on, but we want to enjoy our life in the best way possible. My website for my herbs, I'm also an herbalist. Herbs is initially actually what brought me into this medicine in the first place. My website for the herbs is manifestherbs.com. And if you go on there, there are some excellent formulas on there that help to support the whole detox process. Like I have a detox tea on there, I have a colon cleanse tea on there, a parasite cleanse, liver care as we're moving into this spring season, which again rules um, the liver. and the gallbladder and many other things, stuff for your reproductive health, energy, heart, you name it. Excellent. Most of the teas on there are based off of ancient formulas, some of them going back literally 1,000, 2,000 years within this medicine. So, I'm not making up anything, not freestyling, professionally trained, been in private practice since 2003. So, do yourself a favor. Get some herbs, and herbs we also call the forgotten food. There are all sorts of compounds in herbs that we don't get from our regular diet that help to strengthen and supplement um, the nutrients in our body, and also helps to clear and cleanse different waste, move things that need to be moved, strengthen things that need to be strengthened, and overall just balance the body out. So, again, I am Dr. Bashara Wilson with New York Sports Acupuncture. See if we have any more comments in here. Yes, Florence says again, we have one life. One of my mentors, bless his spirit, Dr. Morgan, used to say, this life is not a scrimmage. This is real. So let's make the best of it and respect it and treat it as such. So, with that, I am going to say peace, and I will see you all next time. And thanks again. Peace.